Hello everyone, Jose32, back again, styling and profiling. It's time for a Kickstarter report. We're going to look at what's going on in the world of Kickstarter. I haven't done this in a while. I apologize. I really need to start doing it more regularly because there's always new stuff going on. Alright, first of all, there is the bison, yes. The bicycle Bacon Lovers playing cards from collectibleplayingcards.com. I don't know if I mentioned it before. It's kind of an odd deck. It's got pigs all over the court card. It's got kind of a pink colored face, if I recall. And the back design is words and strips of bacon, and it just says, eat more bacon. Obviously, if you're a bacon lover, you don't be all over it. And apparently, they think it's going to be a good seller, but so far, it's only 34% funded. And there's 28 days left. So it'll probably get funded, but it's going to be a very slow funding campaign. And I think part of the problem might be that they're just pumping out too many decks. It's overkill. People are getting burned out. They can't afford to keep dishing out money for lackluster decks, I would say. The next deck is also from Collectible Playing Cards. It is the Physique Playing Cards. And it's currently 75% funded. 7 days left in that one. It's not a bad looking deck of cards. The back design's pretty nice. The face, it's got some nudity. I don't even know if USPC is going to print that, to be honest. They did come out with a limited edition tuck case, which so far does not seem to be helping sales very much. It's got a lot of gold and a nice fancy ace of spades on it. It's got kind of a lame seal. It just says limited edition 1000 decks. The one on the standard version is a nicer custom seal. Although that being said, the limited edition seal is nicer than what they usually do. It still just says it's limited edition. The people don't seem to be jumping all over it. And I think part of the problem is when you look at it, it doesn't fit with the cards. The color is different. I mean, they got the back design on the back of the box, and it just seems really out of place, in my opinion. And apparently they're only offering 800 on Kickstarter yet. It's going to be sold on their website, obviously. And apparently it has been approved by USPC, nudity and all, so that's okay. That's good. But that's that. Another one is the Old Bones playing cards. It's a deck of the dead playing cards, as they call it. Very fantasy type looking deck. Not really my cup of tea. It's by the Toronto Playing Card Company. And it is 76% funded with 25 days to go. I'm sure it'll get funded. It's got plenty of time. It's 3/4 of the way. The other one, the Physique, I think I mentioned 7 days left. And it's still 3/4 of the way. It'll probably get funded, but it's going to be very close. Their last deck was also very close. Then there is the Bicycle Classic Monsters, which is also by Classics Playing Cards, which is the son of Mike from Collectible Playing Cards. So again, it's an okay deck. 6 days left in that one. It is funded, 109% funded, so not a huge amount. But it is funded enough. It's got enough funding. I wanted to mention about something about the Physique. Oh yes, not only do they got the limited edition tuck case, but they're also offering, as an add-on, 7 decks that were previously designed by the same guy as the Physique. It's pretty bad when you have to offer 7 decks from previous campaigns to try and get a deck funded. Very bad, in my opinion. It tells me that deck is not doing that well. But anyways, moving along. The Bicycle Classic Monsters, I should mention, also has a limited edition tuck case, and it also feels kind of out of place. The cards themselves and the standard box is all basically black and gray, as are the cards, and the back design is really black with an eyeball on it. The limited edition tuck case is color, lots of color, like a really bright red and yellow. And again, a limited edition seal that just says limited edition 1000 point run. Not overly exciting. But it just doesn't really seem to fit with the overall deck, what it is. If it was, I mean, personally, I think the deck would be better if it had more color, was more alive, because it's a really dead deck. But it is funded. Some people like it, obviously. I'm not humongously in love with it, so I'm not backing it. But maybe one day down the road, I'll get it. But that's that. I just wanted to point that out. The fifth Jack playing cards by Brian Graham is currently 10% funded, 18 days left. It's not going to happen at this rate. It needs a big boost. Already, he is planning to, I guess, cancel and relaunch with a non-USPC deck with a $2,000 goal. My problem is, he had $1,550, I believe it was, and he has lost $100 since making that announcement. And the problem being, he hasn't even hit $2,000 worth of USPC deck, and I know I'm not going to be the only one who's not going to back the project if it's not USPC, and it's just some random company, because its quality is not going to be there, and there's not a whole lot going on in the deck. Anyways, it's a pretty standard deck, so I'm going to have to pass. I know a lot of other people are going to have to pass because they like USPC only decks, and so it's going to be really hard to fund if you can't fund a USPC deck with a non-USPC deck, and you can't even get that funding with a USPC deck, you know? You know what I mean? I apologize if the video's a little bit long. Anyway, next up, the Bicycle Paisley playing cards. I think I mentioned it before, by Nagin Sam Liu, has a lot of Paisley elements. It's currently 36% funded, 31 days left. It's got plenty of time to make up the rest. Time will tell if that happens. The Lost Wax playing cards by Olitad Abidoyi, I think that's how you pronounce it. 6% funded, 20 days left. Not looking too good. It's I mean, the art is nice. It's pretty nice, but as somebody mentioned to me, maybe it doesn't have a broad enough appeal. And then the other issue is the goal is over $38,000. He was talking about printing like 7,200 decks or something like that. That's an absolutely ridiculously outrageous number. Way too many decks. And be lucky to sell all of those. So if you had a much lower goal, a much more realistic amount of decks he's printing, it'd probably fund. But at the same time, it may not have that appeal for people because it's basically Nigerian themed. Maybe only people in Nigeria would be really interested. I don't know. So far, there's not much appeal. But then again, the extremely high goal might scare off a lot of people. Anyway, moving along, another deck of cards, I don't know if I mentioned it before, is the Neverland Bicycle playing cards by Nat Iwata, themed after Peter Pan. Looks pretty nice. There is a limited edition box in this one as well. The back design has blue colors and all sorts of artwork. It looks pretty nice. The faces, nice and custom, beautifully done. I like it. It's currently 78% funded, 25 days left. It should fund. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. Well, the goal seems to be a tad high, but there is some nice custom tuck cases with foil and embossing and stuff like that. The limited edition one, only 1,000. It's got gold foil accents. I don't know if the standard one does. I don't think it does. But anyways, the standard one is a green tuck case, and it looks like a book. They're designed like a book. And the red one, the limited edition one, as you might have guessed, is red. Oops. And I was able to pledge for one for $5, so I'm happy with that. That's pretty good for me anyways. And that was a very limited amount. So, and there was people who actually were able to get one deck, one limited edition deck, one unlimited deck, and one coin for $1 plus free shipping. $1. There was 2 people that got that. And one person always gets it, so it's not really fair. But it is what it is. Let's move along. Voyager playing cards by Derek McGee, which is basically a reprint of Les Miley's, which is basically a standard deck of cards, custom jokers and ace of spades. It's funded 107%, 6 days left. There is in this one a red version which is limited and just over 1,000. And these are printed by Legends Playing Card Company, slightly different box. Pretty cool. The Nothing But Suits playing cards by High Art. 24% funded, 23 days left. It's not looking too good. And the competition is going to heat up because there's a new Black Book deck of cards coming up, which is, this one is very similar to the Black Book deck of cards. And that other one, I guess people are waiting for it. It's going to be pretty cool. The Manifesto. It's coming very, very soon. The Memento playing cards by Valerio Aversa. 44% funded, 24 hours left. It's not going to happen. If they relaunch with just one deck, I'm sure I don't get funded. But 2 is just too many. Sand & Young's Derby playing cards, which is also going to be USB-C by Sandbox Mode. 58% funded, 4 days left. It's not looking like it's going to happen. It would need a big boost. The Plug Nickel playing cards by Matt Drake, which I did a review on the prototype deck. It's on my channel right now. 71% funded, 12 days left. It does have time to get funded. It just needs to get that last little boost of support. The Interlist playing cards, which I think I mentioned, by Christian Sass, is 18% funded, 20 days left. It's not doing very well at all, unfortunately. What it is a Bicycle branded USB-C deck and a Legends branded Legends Playing Card Company deck that are identical, so that creators, collectors, magicians, anyone could compare the Legends Playing Card Company deck and a USB-C company deck that are exactly the same in artwork and color and everything. There was a stretch goal for black versions as well, but it doesn't look like they're going to get the one goal for just one deck, so I don't know what's going to happen with that one. One deck that just launched on Kickstarter today that's new is the Jet Setter playing cards. It's going to be USB-C printed. It is by Paul Ruscio. I hope that's how you pronounce it. Currently 10% funded, 29 days left. It has half time. However, I'm not certain this one's going to get funded. The back design is just a green back design with airplanes on it, repetitive, kind of like a bee or a steamboat, basically, except it has borders. And then the faces are standard Arco faces. The Ace of Spades, pretty standard with an airplane on it and some words. And the Jokers are just airplanes. So it's a very simple deck of cards, minimalist, I guess you could say. Not a whole lot into it. I think that might be a turnoff for some people. It was for me. Time will tell. It's 29 days left. The Gorilla deck of cards by Spicy Pickle Creative. 61% funded. 3 days left. Forget the stretch goal for a red deck. The blue one's not going to get funded as it is. They may relaunch. I don't know. They've been trying to attract different people and different groups, but so far it hasn't happened. The Bicycle 100 Years War playing cards by Spade and Company is exactly 100% funded and 4 days left. Only about $80 over the funding, so if some people cancel, they might still have problems, but 4 days left. I think that one is as good as printed. And again, there's 2 different decks in that one. That is why it's taking so long to get funded. It almost did not get funded because it's one too many decks. For somebody who doesn't have a following or fan base or a customer base, it's really hard to do. Moving along, the Brasileño playing cards by Boardroom. 3% funded, 14 days left. It's not really looking good. And it has copyright issues all over it because it has uniforms from different teams. It's got the World Cup on the back design. Just not a very good idea. The Bicycle Ira Ice playing cards are back on Kickstarter. It's called the Redux version, Bicycle Ira Ice Redux, by Zaid Salman. Currently 24% funded. 26 days left. It's going to be close. I don't know if it's going to fund or not. It did not the first time around, but they have finally put together, the artwork and got it done. One of the issues for me is in the previous campaign, right up until the end, they were asking people what they wanted in the back, how they were polling people, asking people to vote on what back design, on what faces. Right until the end, it's like this should be decided before it even starts. So now at least you got that figured out, and hopefully there's no changes. But it might not appeal to too many people because it has no pips on the faces. You can figure out the suit pretty the value pretty easily, but it's hard to figure out the suit without looking at the index. So it's a little bit of a turnoff for me. Then there is the Kalashnikov identification playing cards by G-Webs or Gwebs, or however you pronounce that. 64% funded, 4 hours left. It's not going to happen. People aren't crazy about the guns. And I just got to see if there's anything else I'm missing. Very quickly. The Get Made playing cards. And there's another one there. I don't know why sometimes decks don't show up. I apologize. The Heretic playing cards, that was funded successfully. The Demon deck did have a new campaign for a limited edition version, which they did not achieve the funding for that stretch goal. It was like $100 goal. They got about $900. It was well funded, but it was a limited edition deck, and it just wasn't that attractive to me. Kingdoms of Verdant playing cards, that one was successfully funded. Oh, it cost $10, so I figured why not. And the BE Refined Black Edition bicycle playing cards, that was canceled. It was not going in a good direction. Apparently it will be relaunched though. And the Bicycle Starlight, my collectible playing cards, that was funded. And that one was funded pretty good, surprisingly. The Get Made is funded quite well. Still 24 days left. I don't know why it's such a long, drawn-out campaign. It should have been over by now, in my opinion, because it seems like it's been going on for a few weeks. They've got all sorts of add-ons. They got limited edition tuck cases, which are like $20 each. I was not very happy about that. A lot of people aren't happy about that because it's just a lot of money for a different tuck case. And then there's Pritz. There is a Liquid Courage set which has like a liquor bottle in it and stuff like that. There's coins. There's limited edition tuck cases. There is a humidor, which fits up to 6 decks, and that allows you to keep them exactly right humidity if you wanted to. But it's very expensive, $68 international, $58 domestic, for something that's not really necessary. There is, I don't know if I should say this, but there is one more deck coming up, and it also will have a limited edition tuck case. Although they're still working on that, but I know people in the forums probably not going to be too thrilled. The Funi deck, Bicycle Funi, which is South African based, or actually inspired by India's vibrant colors and rich ancient culture. 5 days left. It's not going to happen. Not looking good. It's at almost 5,800 euros. They need 12,000 euros. Not going to happen, but it'll probably be relaunched. I'm not sure. And the other one, the last one, I promise, is the Frontier deck. Bicycle Frontier deck. There is a blue Frontier deck and a red Predator deck. It's got kind of like a hunting theme, sort of. It's got all sorts of wildlife on it. Actually, I guess it's more of a late 19th century illustrations on wildlife. It looks pretty awesome. It's not looking good. It's at 17,000, and it needs to reach 28,500 for their goal. 9 days left. It's not looking good. Like I said again, as I said about some of the others, one deck too many. The problem is with a lot of these campaigns is these creators, they don't have a following or a fan base or a customer base or whatever you want to call it, and they haven't really promoted the product much beforehand, and the goals are really high because it's 2 decks, and it's really hard to achieve. A lot of decks you see on Kickstarter will barely fund with just one deck. They'll barely get funded. They might hit $20,000, but $30,000 is really hard to do with one deck, especially with a first-time creator. So why so many people are doing 2 decks, I don't know. But anyways, I apologize for the long video. I will have another update video on other playing cards shortly. I will see you next time.